in case we can't come back here, is there maybe a second location that you might want to go? Because this might be chaotic at the end of the day. And but it was fine, like I think most people with their heads screwed on straight know. We showed up and there was a lot of people on the street and everybody had funny signs and it was whatever. Those things usually don't turn crazy until the cops show up and start shooting people for some reason. That's usually when it gets going. If you just left to their own devices, practicing free speech in the street is usually pretty chill. You might just have to be slightly delayed when driving around such a thing. But I did send up, because after I dropped them off, I drove around the back of the hotel to turn around and get back on Temple to go back to my house. And when I did, I saw about maybe 150 cops like staging behind the hotel. So I did hopped on Twitter for the first time in forever and kind of sent up the bat signal like, hey, just so everybody out there protesting knows, they're ready for war back here behind the DoubleTree. So interesting day, but I was a little concerned in the morning. I was like, this might be, I know you booked this hotel a long time ago, but you picked a great place. Just an absolute great place to be staying during this particular time.
It's funny that you said all of that just in regards to, like everybody having a good time and everything like that, because like when it comes to like comedy, right? Like one of the big things about comedy, and I think a lot of times a lot of comedians, they miss the boat on this. A lot of us, let's just say, are a little for lack of a better term, narcissistic, or, kind of like in our own world or in our own bubble. And like, we think it's like, no, it's about what I want to say. It's like, it is, yeah. But at the same time, like, if it's about what you want to, then like, have people come in to have you give a rally speech or something like that. Like they're also here to be entertained. So like, if you have something to say, you have to make it interesting and you have to make it entertaining for people, and I think a lot of times people forget the word is, there's stand-up has the word comedy in it. Like if there's not anything derivatively funny about this, then you're just talking. You're just talking, So I don't know. Just getting off my soapbox on that one, but thoughts?
Yeah. Well, honestly, it's kind of, not obviously as heady as that, but similar to the job, right? It's like, okay, I've got this information I need to convey, so figure out how to make it entertaining. So part of my thing with the tour is I care about history and I genuinely like sharing history with people, but you got to figure out how to make it funny. So I got my stock jokes in there. I got my things to say, but as far as political stuff goes, unfortunately at this point in my life and my finances, my opinions are not more valuable than my tips. So when I have Americans, if every once in a while we get like MAGA grandpa, I'm just like, oh yeah, that's crazy. Anyway, that hotel over there was built in 1927 or whatever. I'm a master of changing the subject. But if I have groups from other countries, it's like in most Western countries, our Democrats, our left wing would be their like pretty hard right wing.
Yeah.
So I can just go nutty with it. So I always love getting political questions from people from other countries, because like, who gives a shit, whatever.
But you just brought up a really good point, Rivers. But because like when we're talking about like doing comedy for people from other countries and vice versa and everything like that, is that again, everything is relative to like what you know and like what you're familiar with. And like, so if you say like, if you make a political statement on a stage, let's say it's somewhere like HI Santa Monica, that comedy and English show that used to take place in the hostel, you got people from different walks of life and they all have different definitions of what left and right means, right?
Yeah. Yeah. My favorite times doing that show, honestly, was with my co-host on my podcast, Goods from the Woods, Sam Harder, when he would do it, because I think Sam is, for people who aren't from here, he is some like platonic version of an American that most people like have in their head, in a way, in terms of his act, just this very like dry affect, and Sam, if you've never seen him, has very long hair and a huge beard, And my favorite thing ever was he would start doing, kind of somewhat crowd work, but start talking to people. He'd be like, "Oh, you're from England? I have. You want to buy a gun? I could sell you a gun, right?" And him trying to sell them like crack and a gun is so goddamn funny to me. So I always loved watching Sam kill on that show because he was I don't know. I was like, he's some version of what they have in their head of us, in a way.
That's actually really funny because now for those of you guys who are not familiar with Sam, definitely check out Goods from the Woods. Check out that show. Great show. Really, really awesome. I've been on it, I think, twice now, and I think it was just an absolute blast doing that show every single time I've done it. But the thing about Sam is that I think the funniest thing I ever saw once is that I was literally looking at my phone. I got a notification like Sam is currently going live from the Jack in the Box on Sunset, and
oh yeah, our stream
literally was just inside a Jack in the Box, streaming inside the Jack in the Box, and like there was no shtick to it. It was just a live stream at a Jack in the Box, and I was like, wow, this is literally what most people from overseas think Americans are like, is eating inside a Jack in the Box, just on a Tuesday. It's just what they do.
Did you see our, because you're talking, we were doing a live stream there for a while on Thursdays, and now Sam got a job, so we've kind of cooled down on that a little bit. Hopefully we'll be able to bring it back at some point. But Sam and I would walk around the city, and on days when I was working, Sam would just go solo. But one of the times I did go with him, the big thing was trying out novelty fast food items. So anytime, it's like, oh, Wendy's has a stupid thing this month. All right, well, we could try that on the stream. And that's kind of with our, we'd have a mission for every stream to go try something stupid at a fast food place. But there was one where we just went to a Jack in the Box, and it was the one at Santa Monica and Vine. So for those listening, like the middle of Hollywood. And Hollywood is not maybe what you have in your mind if you've never been here. Hollywood is a fairly working class neighborhood, to put it nicely, and there's a lot of people with a lot of drug issues wandering around, particularly in a place like Jack in the Box, which is a fast food place that's open 24/7, or at least the drive-through is.
It's a place where if you may not have consistent shelter, you may want to spend a lot of time. Yeah.
Yeah, and the one in Hollywood's like pretty new. It's pretty nice actually. We were in there by ourselves, and I'm sitting at a table like holding the phone and talking to our chat, and it was awesome because Sam is just in the background ordering. So I got this on film, but he orders like a breakfast sandwich. They do breakfast all day, and he gets the breakfast sandwich, and as they go to hand it to him, this lady standing behind him like tries to grab it, and the whole thing like falls on the ground, and she like runs out, and Sam is just like, so I'm talking, I'm like, what's up, chat? What's good? In the background, Sam gets his sandwich, and she's like, what the fuck? So,
oh my God.
You can see that on my Instagram. I put up that clip because it was so insane. They made him a new sandwich, but a lady did try to steal his sandwich out of his hand.
You see, it's funny that I love the fact that you brought up when you were, telling that story here, on the show. You brought it up in a way that it was universal, that anyone who had never been to a Jack in the Box could experience that joke and not joke, but story, moment for lack of a better term, and enjoy it and appreciate it, because I think that's one of the main issues. And I've spoken about this on the show multiple times with different comedians, is that they will give a reference that in their mind is considered a universal reference, but they don't realize that it's actually regional, because they just assume, oh, Jack in the Box is everywhere. It's like, actually, no, that's a regional fast food place. So if you don't give the context of what a Jack in the Box is, people are not going to appreciate it. Again, you only know what you know.
Yeah, Jack in the Box is what if we put everything in a fryer? And when I say everything, I mean cheesecake, egg rolls, French fries, burgers, chicken. Like it is a hot oil bath for the most perplexing menu of all. They have tacos with American cheese on the undercarriage of the shell, which I found so thoroughly bizarre. But I don't know. I say this, but I'm also a sicko that I kind of love the Jack in the Box egg rolls. Like if I just need like a snack, just a little tiny snack, man, I'll hit one Jack in the Box egg roll with some sweet and sour. That shit's good, you know. I mean, it's deep fried, but it's kind of vegetables.
Speaking
You know?
speaking of that, I just got literally as you're talking about Jack in the Box, I literally just got a text message from a fast food place right now as we speak.
Oh, it's because your phone's listening to you,
It's
bro.
it's so terrifying. Just
Dude, I
reminding
got
me about my
my
rewards points that are just sitting there for my $10 off. So yeah.
I got my my COVID booster 2 days ago, and normally when I go to the doctor, I put my phone on airplane mode, so my phone isn't listening to the doctor tell me my fucking maladies or whatever, you know. But I'd forgotten to do it when I went to the CVS, so I went to the little room to get my shot, and you know, had the phone on, and sure enough, man, I left the shot spot, got to my car, pulled up Instagram, and it was already just like, you know, whatever, like stuff about, you know, treatment for COVID, and you're like, but I just did that, you fucking idiot. This doesn't work if you don't understand the context that you're stealing my information from. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that happened to me last week. I purchased something and then I see it coming up on my Facebook feed over and over again. I'm like, dude, I just fucking bought it. Like you defeated the whole purpose of this. Like if I had been in the store and had it in my cart and then left the site, I would understand. But now you're just pissing me off and making me not want to buy the product again.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what that's like? That's like the comic that just did your show and then sends the email as they're getting off stage about doing it again.
Hey man, that's called follow through. You know, we admire that. That's moxie. Not annoying at all.
That's a deep cut. That's a deep cut right there. Very inside baseball, which ironically is also an inside baseball term, to use the term inside baseball.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was funny after I got the COVID booster though, or when I was getting it, I should say, the guy giving the shot, pharmacist, I guess, CVS dude with a white coat. He goes, he was like, "Do you know when you got your last booster?" And I was like, "Yeah, the day after the election last year." It was very easy to remember because I was like, "Oh, this will probably not be a thing in a year, so I should probably get this now." And so fortunately, we're still here. So, you know.
Well, we do live in the state. We do live in the state of California. Although I did get an email, you know, for those who guys watching around the world, just for some of you guys who might not be familiar, is that healthcare is not. We don't have universal healthcare in the United States. We have subsidized healthcare for lower income people, until December 31st, 2025. In which case we don't know. Which is one of the reasons why the government is shut down in the United States right now. And I think that's another thing too. You know, Rivers, in regards to like context for things. You know, you tell somebody from overseas, you know, oh, the government is shut down. In their mind, they're thinking that the country is shut down, like it's, you know, like stay-at-home orders, like everyone's at home. No, it's not. It's not like out there right now is complete anarchy. Like things are still going. What government shutdown means just like a lot of federal programs are currently closed.
Yeah, it just means that the poorest among us are fucked currently, is what that means. It doesn't actually affect normal, or, you know, not normal, but you know, higher income people in any way.
Well, and you know,
keep living their lives.
But they freak out too, because I think, you know, a lot of people in regards to, and I've had these conversations with people who want to come to the United States, and they go, "Oh, can I come there right now? Because I heard you're shut down." And yeah, you know, like I heard you're shut down. Like I'm like, yeah, you can come here. The past, you know, like the borders are still, you know, still open with your passport, and you know, you can still travel freely for the time being. And
we're still a country technically, yes.
Yeah. I want to ask you this, Rivers, you know, because obviously, you know, you and then we really appreciate it, you know, how much time and effort you put into the Comedy in English show when it was taking place at HI Santa Monica. What were some of the crowds there that you felt worked the best in that type of a venue, in that type of an environment, where they have a lot of comedians that are, for lack of a better term, you know, domestic American and Canadian?
I mean, you know, it's always fun to chop it up with folks from Ireland. That's probably my favorite. So anytime you got Irish or British folks, I could kind of, you know, tailor, because I feel like of all the kind of cultural exchanges, you know, as far as media goes, Americans, or at least I am probably best familiar with that kind of Anglosphere Irish area. So I could kind of chop it up with them. And then the Canadians, obviously, it was always a little tougher if they were Scandinavian, because it was a thing of like in Scandinavia they have incredibly good English for the most part, but the cultural context is I know
Casey, can you see me, dude?
things, so I was always kind of like,
you can see me?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't see you. I can't see you. You're just a blank screen. All right. Let's try that again. All right, guys, we're about to have Casey Skinner on. We're just having a little bit of technical difficulties. Hopefully he joins in a second here. Let's see what happens. We are waiting on Casey to join us any second right now. We're just having some technical difficulties. Let's see what happens. He's going to try again. And if he has any issues, we'll just do it on Zoom. All right. And let's see what happens when he's on Zoom. All right, I will just do this then. I will just share the screen. Just share the window. Just share. Okay, share. Okay. Oh, hold on. We're not. You're now screen sharing. Okay. What is going on here? Hold on. Participants can now see your screen. Okay. Did I? Hold on. Maybe I meant to share it here. Take that out. Let me try this. Okay, that's not working here. Casey, I can't see you. It's just audio. Stop that share here. All right, what I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to try to. Oops. Okay. I'm just going to try sharing screen here. All right, let's see. Why is that? Okay.
Okay, does that work?
Hold on one second. Let me just remove this here. I'm trying to do. Ah, there we are. Look, there you are. Look at that. Look at that. The magic of technology.
Where's Rivers?
Rivers isn't here. That was recorded.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's just it's B-roll playing before the show starts. That's how it works out. All right, let's just get this going, because I know that you've got a little bit of a time limit right here. Okay. Welcome back, everyone, to Comedy in English, the international comedy podcast, where we talk about all things comedy and international. I am joined by somebody that knows a lot about international comedy, because they helped produce a comedy show in an international hostel, the one and only Casey Skinner. What's up, dude?
Oh man, nothing much, dude. How's everything? How's life? How's LA?
It's going. You know, I only have a torn tendon in my middle finger and a fracture there, which is just always
What
fun
happened?
when you can't move your middle finger. So it just looks like you're consistently pissed off at people. That's always a good look.
You have resting fuck you hand.
Exactly. So tell first off, for a lot of people out there who might not be familiar, you know, tell them a little bit about what you got going on right now, because you got this whole tour that you've been putting together, because you got this really, really cool one-person show that you've been developing.
Oh, thanks, dude. Yeah, we're doing this like crazy solo show about this haunted or this very dangerous hotel in downtown LA called the Cecil Hotel. And it's been a wild ride doing these tours. We just did like Central Florida. Like we've been going to places where like they wish they had an Applebee's. Like these are such small towns. And now we were doing like places where like I don't think anybody's heard of, like Kingsland, Georgia, or like Mount Dora, Florida. And now we're putting together a 100-city tour next year.
So tell me a little bit about that, because I think one of the things when we talk about small communities in the United States, it's literally almost like performing in an international country, isn't it?
Oh, dude, I mean, sometimes these mountain people, they don't even speak English. They speak some other weird language, But yeah, we mean like with these little towns, like, sometimes they're not even, their point of reference is so local. Like they're not even watching the same stuff we're watching, They're like 10 years behind. They're still watching West Wing,
They're still watching West Wing, and they're like, wow, this seems really current to what's going on in the world today.
Yeah, exactly. It's a different version of international, because like so much of comedy goes to like big cities, and now it's like, instead of going to big cities, it's we're going to like a 3,000 person town, and
no, go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
No, I was just going to say, because like last week we had Chris James on, who's a comedian originally from the UK, and he's putting a one-person show together right now to tour internationally. And one of the things is that when you're doing a work in progress, for those of you guys unfamiliar with what I mean by work in progress, it's when you're developing a one-person show, you have to find a way to make it personal yet universal at the same time. Do you feel like going to like these small little towns helps you with that?
Oh yeah, I mean, because then you get to find out like really what is universal, because their point of reference is very different. It goes down to only like the human level, like it's just like you and like it's interesting. It's like the more hyper detailed your experience, like the more universal it becomes. Like so many people think like to become like you have to like speak in general terms. That actually just gets like broad and vague. But I found like talking about like such hyper niche things, people like it loops back around and it makes sense again.
Yeah, it's interesting that you said that right there, because like I think a lot of the times one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're talking to people from different walks of life is assuming that they don't know what they're talking about, and then it just comes across as condescending rather than than collaborative, and they're not even intentionally trying to do that.
Oh, completely. And it's like, you have to like meet them. It's interesting. You have to meet people where they're at, and it's going to like small towns. You find out like really what resonates with people. Like there are things where I thought would resonate with certain people, like certain, like going to like a special needs school. I thought, okay, that maybe no one's going to understand that. They're like, oh yeah, everyone kind of just feels a little stupid sometimes. And how like technology just moves so fast. You're like, oh yeah, I'm always feeling stupid.
And I think that's the great thing, because I've noticed, and obviously we're going to talk about, touring and international comedy and all that stuff. But like, I feel that a lot of human experiences are shared experiences, and they are universal, regardless of where you are. Everybody loves, everybody hates, everybody gets hungry, everyone gets thirsty. These are things that are just part of being a human being. And I think a lot of the times, when it comes to comedy, I've had this discussion with different comics. I had this discussion with Rivers Langley actually on the show a few weeks back. We get so reference heavy. We get so focused on the specifics. We forget the fact that it's about the actual point of view, that's really where the humor comes from.
Oh yeah, it's like, it's something you've been doing in like comedy in English was like reference, like you like take out cultural reference and then use like personal relational reference. Like you can reference like a movie in the 90s and maybe some people will understand it, but like you can talk about like, communicating with your dad and everyone's like, yeah, we all get that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're all aloof.
Every dad is aloof, is what you're saying?
I feel like every time I go to someone's house, the mom always greets them really excitedly, and then the dad is just in the other room.
The dad just can't be bothered to put the energy into me. I've had 50 years of this. I don't need more of them.
Yeah, exactly. I am now retired, both from my career and my social life. I will be sitting here and then learning about the war.
You can tell somebody doesn't want to be bothered anymore when like you go onto their LinkedIn profile and like their body of work is insane, and then it just says currently retired, as in like don't fucking contact me. Like I'm done with this corporate world.
Yeah, if you have to make it as an announcement, that means if you have to tell people you're retired, that means people are trying to talk to you. And they're like, I am done.
Well, and
I've talked to people who are retired, and they are not happy that I'm talking.
They're just done with. And then there's other people who just can't stop working. Which is basically everyone in our generation, because we won't be able to stop working. But that's a whole other conversation to have another day. Actually, hold on. We will be able to stop working because there won't be any more jobs available because they're all automated. But other than that, this is getting dark.
Yeah, nothing will be. Yeah. I mean, you think it's bad now. Eventually, you're like even just like taking a walk, you'll be like, actually, we'll just ride a robot around the block. Like every little thing, even just the small nuances of life. I'll be like, it'll get so far that you'll try to like even struggle, and there'll be like a robot that struggles for you. You're like, you can't even do the bad parts of life. Even that's been taken away. Well, we automated depression.
See, but that's the thing I love about in regards to like comedy and touring, doing comedy, is because you're making people think. You're giving points of a view that might be different than their own point of view, and you're making people have to think for themselves. I think one of the biggest issues that we're having, and I think why it's difficult a lot of times with comedy to translate, in certain formats, is because we want to be spoon-fed everything now, and I'm a complete culprit of it. I mean, like, I'll just give an example right now. It's like I literally was just having AI determine what decisions I was going to make for my fantasy football team this weekend. Like that is insanity. Yeah. Like I'm just trusting that it knows what the fuck it's talking about. Like I'm just assuming it's right, as opposed to like doing my own due diligence. And if anyone's in my league right now, playing me in the playoffs right now, that is not true. I am actually going to put the research in, but
but they're also using it as well.
Exactly. We're going to be.
There's like a fantasy football data set. There's a large language fantasy model, But I feel like sometimes AI will start to like hallucinate and be like, yeah, you should bring in Michael Vick. And you're like, he's been retired a while.
I actually caught ChatGPT the other day, and it put in a player that does not play for that team. And I'm like, I should stop listening to this because it doesn't know what football is. It is just going off algorithms and search engines and keywords.
Yeah, like ChatGPT is just like a very savvy improv troupe. They will yes and you to the point where you're like, oh no, he plays here. Yes, and he's also the quarterback. Yes, and he's the lead cheerleader. You're like, really?
Oh man, nothing's.
Cinco.
Speaking of comedy, there's nothing funnier than asking ChatGPT to come up with material. There's nothing funnier than that, because you'll find out very quickly why there's a human element to comedy very, very quickly. And
Oh
you know,
yeah, I asked. Yeah,
no, go ahead.
yeah, I asked ChatGPT, be like, "Hey, write a joke from your perspective," and then it was like, "Isn't it funny that all people are replaceable?" And I was like, "That doesn't know if that's a joke or if you were just if that's a threat." If I don't know if you tried to tell me, make me laugh or make me feel unsafe. If you're Crystalia, it's the same thing. But
You know, the great thing is though is that none of us will have jobs, which means that we'll all be living off universal basic income, which means we'll have plenty of time to go to Casey Skinner's one person show. So it totally all works out, right? They're the circle of life right there.
the thing that I'm really scared of, and I really genuinely believe this is the truth, if this we get to a place where work becomes irrelevant and universal basic income happens and stuff, then everyone will, like anybody who has too much spare time and no purpose, they will become artists.
Yeah. Oh, it will be a creative boom. And I don't necessarily mean creative as in it's going to be good creative, but it's going to be everybody, because there's a lot of people out there doing work that they don't want to be doing. So you're just going to have 7 billion people on TikTok
doing watercolors,
doing whatever they want. Where's going to be the incentive for anyone to want to, I don't know, become a nuclear physicist? That sounds really hard.
I think it's because like,
and that's where idiocracy becomes a thing. So,
well, I think if you get to a place where nuclear physics is like also automated, you're like, hey, what's the point of like getting smart? I mean, or you start handling, like, if we have that basic problem solved, you go to the next problem, which is like interdimensional travel and like colonizing Mars, and then figuring out why people like you know, like Crystalia. Like, I don't know. I'm always it's such a weird thing. I think it's like we are always people that like we get used to things real fast, and then we're like, what's the next thing? It'll be like, well, universal basic income for like 2 months, and then we'll be like, okay, now how do we get universal basic income rich? You know,
there'll be like YouTube videos on how to like increase your universal basic income.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, like we'll make money useless, and then someone will, then we'll go right back to like the NFT Beanie Baby, and then we'll figure out another way to have value.
So
and we'll have we'll have houses and healthcare, and then we'll all still feel poor.
So somebody in the comment section right now actually just said that we're actually wrong, and that somebody who can use AI will get our jobs. If somebody can use AI to do one-person shows, that would be a multimedia spectacle of redundancy, I guess would be the best word about it. It would just be a bunch of one-person shows mixed together to make a compilation video. I don't know exactly what that would be.
I think you can, but it's like, is it good? I think the hard part about like doing anything in like the performative arts is like everything in AI is theoretical. And the thing about comedy is it's scientific. You have to go up and get punched in the face in public. And if you're able to actually take that level and do it, dude, okay, do it. I want it. I'll go see it. I'll go see it. Your ones and zeros to make like laughs and tears. Let's make it happen, dude. I'll rent the theater for you.
Casey's got the challenge out there. So pivoting back to kind of like, you know, touring and everything like that. What do you feel kind of like resonates the best universally when you're doing either a one-person show or spoken word or stand-up comedy or any sort of those, you know, performative arts?
Oh, dude, I think the thing that resonates the most is like the conversations that people don't want to talk about, the ones that are the hardest to discuss, you know, like this whole show I'm building out is about how people give a performative sense of being all right when they're struggling underneath. And I think once you start to say stuff where people actually, where it's not just, have you ever noticed that, you know, like your mom always like guards the thermostat? It's like, oh, yeah, cool, but like I can relate to it, but I can't resonate with it.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying there in regards to that. It's like you're trying to go a little bit deeper and more profound with it. You know, I think one of the things that was so, you know, magical, you know, about the Comedy and English show at HI Santa Monica is that, you know, a lot of the crowd work there was not a lot less like, oh, look at this guy's shoes, look at that guy's hat and stuff like that. But it was more getting to know these people where they were traveling from. And a lot of the times these people were willing to be much more open than they would be in another environment. And you really get to know these people.
Oh yeah, I mean, because like they're anonymous in the sense of like, you know, they can say everything about themselves, but like you don't know their name, and then they'll just disappear into the wind when they leave. You know, they're gonna be like, "Oh, I'm gonna be in Germany after this." Yeah, like you're never gonna know me again.
There's a certain level of freedom to that. Whereas if like they were on a date with somebody at a local comedy club, they might be a little bit more reserved. I mean, some of the stories that people have shared at HI Santa Monica.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I feel like I'm in a therapy session sometimes.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, they're like, yeah, they'll be saying wild stuff like, yeah, I got my cat addicted to coke, and you're just like, what? Or yeah, they'll be like, I've never been happy a day in my life. You're like, okay, you need to go to the beach now. Like, yeah.
Well, yeah, and you know, one of the cool things about, you know, that type of an environment, for those of you guys who weren't familiar what we're referring to, there was the HI Santa Monica show. There were people from all different walks of life, from different countries, different religions, different cultures, different languages, all in the same room at the exact same time. Different financial backgrounds.
There would be like millionaires next to homeless people.
It's basically like when you guys watch any post-apocalyptic dystopian type content where people are put together that never would meet together and have to cohabitate and live together. That's basically what this show environment was like.
Oh yeah, and it's like, you know, there was a moment there where it was like really magical, you know, and you would be getting people from like communist China and like people from communist Portland and like, and all the different.
Who has the better donuts though? Communist Portland or communist China?
Oh man, I would have to say Portland, because I think good donuts are always made with just a little bit of resentment.
Oh my God!
There's nothing sweeter than like the resentment of a recently graduated liberal arts student.
You know what's great about the whole Portland donuts, and I went to Voodoo Donuts recently, and I brought them to Thanksgiving, and nothing says you didn't really think this through than attending an event that has more food than any other event throughout the entire year in the United States, and bringing more food with you. Probably a poor choice was to bring donuts to Thanksgiving. Kind of a slap in the face to everybody who pies, basically. So.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I think it'd be more of a slap in the face if those were the popular pieces. Everyone's like, I love these donuts. Man, you got to look at the love this person gave into that like $12 purchase or that $30 purchase. Oh yeah, well, I just put in, you know, hours of my day. I also have a job, by the way. But yeah, this person dropped by something on the way over. Yeah, I feel special.
Have you ever done that before, left a party and been like, oh man, that breakfast pasta was awesome? They're like, that was from blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, well, I thought your thing was great too. Like, just like basically.
Oh yeah.
Called out the thing that was like brought in.
I've had it where someone said they cooked it and I found out later that they bought it.
Like in a 90s sitcom?
Oh man, I like sometimes it's like, if it's like a potluck and stuff, you can go and just buy something and put it in your own pan. There's nothing illegal about that at all.
No,
you know?
No. That's what universal basic income is for. is to be able to do that.
Oh yeah, this is exactly what universal basic income will end up as. It'll be just everybody putting on events and then everyone pretending like they care about the events and then buying things for those events. I think that's what Thanksgiving is about. You know, it's about a bunch of people caring and then one person using capitalism to like gain the system by buying the better thing. They're like, I cared about you the most. I hired professionals to make this.
There you go. There's a good way to spin it right there. I love that. So let's talk a little bit about like experiences you had, you know, touring and everything like that. Is there anything that really like stands out for you? Obviously this, you know, entire tour of these rural communities was, I'm sure, an eye opener, either overseas or domestically that you want to share.
Oh man, I would say I did these two like theaters back to back in the South. I did Kingsland, Georgia, which is a military base. And then I did Gainesville, Florida, which is a hyper liberal college town. And you could not go from more deep red to more deep blue. And it's so fascinating. Like the deep red town was way more fun. And then the deep blue town got the art, but was offended by my grammar jokes. like not even like elaborating in the slightest. I told a joke about a comma and someone got offended.
Wait, what? Why would someone get offended by a grammar joke?
I like 20 minutes prior to that, I talked about cocaine and someone dying and overdosing in a building, and they were fine and laughing. And apparently the line I crossed was a dotted and squiggled line because they don't like when you besmirch the comma in the Oxford comma. Apparently, maybe as I say it out loud, maybe there was like a university literature teacher who I assume would be who was like a general of the grammar Nazis. Like
that's unbelievable. That's unbelievable.
That person walked out. By the way,
the irony of that is that grammar is going to the wayside. If like you look at like Gen Alpha, like the youngest generation right now, like none of them know grammar and then none of them care because they just write in abbreviations on social media. That's the only type of writing they do. I'm not even talking about Gen Zs. I'm talking about Gen Alpha, like the high school group right now.
Are they? Wait, is Gen Z out of high school now? Gen
Zs are young professionals now. Yeah.
Fuck me. Okay.
Gen Alpha's in high school and college. Or no, so Gen Alpha's in high school and middle school right now, I believe.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Gen Z,
yeah, I mean, it's kind
Gen Z's in college and young professionals. So yeah.
I think Gen Alpha is going to be great. I think they're going to be, I mean, they already got Alpha in their name. Good for them, you know, way to go. I like how we had like Gen X and then we had like, we were kind of Gen Y and then it was Gen Z and then we swooped back to Gen A, but we only started naming generations like in the 1900s. Like I don't like we started at the end of the alphabet.
Yeah, there was never a Generation B. Like you're like, man, remember Generation B in 1740?
Yeah. No one ever kind of like went through
the wig generation, the powdered wig generation.
Oh yeah, and so there was a person who was the last person to wear a wig, and you're like, okay, come on, Bill. And yeah, it's super. I mean, I guess they didn't really have generations back then. People would die at 20. Like they never were alive enough to like have their own like style.
That's actually a really good point. I was actually just thinking about this right now in regards to how fast things change from generation to generation. And then they also recycle back. I literally had somebody the other day go, man, those pants are a little tight, aren't they? And I was like, dude, a year ago, this is what people were wearing. Now I have to go back and wear what I was wearing in 1994. All the old shit that I got rid of, I could have just held on to it and it would have been in fashion again.
Oh yeah, it's moving so fast to the point where it's like if you're on trend, you're behind the trend, or you're way too far ahead.
Yeah.
Like
that's another thing too about touring and like international travel is that everywhere is kind of in a different time period. You know, like I'm sure in some of these rural communities, it's probably more like the year 2014 there.
Yeah, or they're like, or it's like 1994, but also 3 years ago it was also like 1994, and then 10 years ago it was also like 1994,
Oh, so they're
and
just stuck.
the civil rights were 1965, and yeah, it's yeah. Some of these towns, they are little time capsules. I did a show right next to the Villages in Florida, which is like the biggest retirement community.
Yeah.
And they're stuck in like 1980, like not even like the fun 1980, the weird, just post 70s weird repression. We haven't kind of dealt with our parents' PTSD because they were in the war, like type of 1980.
Oh, the type of 1980 where it's like the 70s disco just ended and there's like that weird hair style like in between the 80s style and the 70s style, which is like kind of like big hair but not the cool big hair.
Yeah, they
like,
just started. Yeah, they just started like messing with hairspray, and they just stopped taking acid. Like,
how are you doing on time, by the way?
I got 4 minutes.
Gotcha. Okay, 4 minutes. Okay, so let's get a little bit back onto this right here. Why don't you kind of first up break down like how did you get involved in the international show, and you know, kind of like what kind of gravitated you towards, you know, getting involved in a show. For those of you guys who are unfamiliar, Casey Skinner actually became a producer of Comedy English later in its process.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it was like, you know, trying to develop pieces that resonate widely, and now and then thinking about like how great that show is and how it's such a good opportunity to really kind of learn how to make a wider audience resonate with something hyper specific. You know, it's such a, and those shows were always so good for that, of like building out and like bringing, it was always like a challenge because it was such a crapshoot sometimes it was an amazing show, and sometimes you're like, these cultures are so different from each other, you have to like take a sniper shot to like meet the Venn diagram of them all.
And I think, you know, the thing about like an environment like that, and I've said this multiple times on this show, and I've actually spoken to international comics about that on this show before, is that you want to be able to have the freedom to explore the awkwardness and the silence and then the laughter and everything like that. So it, you know, showcase is not really, you know, a lot of times in LA and larger cities, you know, it's a showcase for those of you guys who don't know what we're talking about. It's like, you know, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, that sort of thing of like a boom, 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 boom material. But that room is really more for, here's 15 minutes, here's 20 minutes, and play within those 15 minutes and 20 minutes and figure out what's resonating, what's not resonating, what can you learn from this moving forward when you are doing those 7 minute, 8 minute showcases, you know?
Oh yeah, completely. You know, really kind of playing with rhythm and time and being able to kind of slow everything down. I like, that was like the big thing with like people walking into those shows thinking, especially people coming from New York where everything is so fast. It's like pop, 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 pop. You'd have to be like, you got to go literally in half time. You have to go 50% speed because it's going to blow by people. And it switches up how you handle time and like your timing of everything. It can really help maneuver a new type of pacing for an artist. And I think it's such a valuable thing because like you think like time, everyone, when you think about like timing with comedy, most people think about the distance between the setup and the punchline, but like it's so much more complicated than that. And like that show just helped build that sense of timing to just such an
I agree with you completely. As we start wrapping up, because I know you got to get going here, man. And before we go, definitely want you to plug, any of the shows that you got coming up. Is there an, for lack of a better term, experience you had at Comedy in English that that really stuck in your mind for your life?
Oh man, I think there was one time. Like watching like from the back of like a packed room, a group of people realize someone in like the center of the audience was in fact like decrepitly homeless, and I think they had like just recently peed themselves.
What?
Because you're in Santa Monica. Like Santa Monica has the craziest people, and because you have like very rich, very affluent, very international, and then you also have like people really struggling. And the show was kind of open to anybody who would want to come. And I remember one time, like at the back of the room, people being like, "Wait, like, what is this smell?" And then one person being like, I am that smell."
What?
I didn't think he walked himself out, but I was like, this is a room for, for pure chaos. You have to be able to handle the chaos of everything.
Wow.
Because yeah.
That's unreal. I mean, wow. Yeah. I mean, and the thing about that too is that these people from overseas are probably so polite. They're just like, they don't want to make a fuss. They don't want to make a moment. They're just like, this is just how Americans are. I don't know. I don't want to disrespect the culture. Maybe they're allowed to urinate.
Oh yeah. There's also like this also kind of speaks like everyone in that room is kind of a representation of America. And you're like, yeah, this is actually some of us. It's not all of us. We're not all peeing ourselves, but I mean, I can't say 100% of us aren't peeing ourselves. That would be statistically incorrect. Like,
I think one of my favorite experiences is that once we were doing a show and a man walks in with a couple women, and he sits down and he's just sits in one of the little chairs, grabs a little snacks, and he's sitting there. And I'm like, this guy looks familiar. And I realized that's Cat Williams. And the comedian Cat Williams was not on the show. He just sat down to watch the show with a little Pepsi and a little Doritos and sitting next to some Swedish tourists. And you're like, wow, this right here is a representation of bringing cultures together in the United States at HI Santa Monica. That is
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I mean, that's just one of so many stories that I can share, both on the positive and the negative. There was one show I remember where they could not turn off the techno music, the electronica music that was playing on the loudspeaker. And so we had to do the entire show with
oh my God.
And after a while, it just became white noise. No one even noticed.
You just kind of sit into the rhythm of it,
Exactly.
And everyone talks about like timing, but it's like, oh no, everyone did their set at 128 beats per minute.
Oh man.
Like,
yeah. And you look like, and that is right there a representation of comedy in general. It's just that like you got to work with what's in front of you and deal with the moment, and don't play concept, but deal with the reality in front of you. And you've got to call things out. One of the great things about, when you're doing a room like that is that it teaches you how to call things out and not just ignore it, because you will be on a showcase for a Netflix or anything like that, and a stool will fall over or somebody's glass will break. And if you don't call out what's in that moment, you're going to die, because everyone's going to be thinking about the moment before when you're talking about your cell phone. And that's the truth. So.
Oh yeah. It's like a meditation. You have to be like super present.
Exactly.
And in the room.
Well, Casey, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it. I know you got a busy schedule going on right now. Is the tour going on right now? Where are the next places people can find you?
We're now just in this, like, the midst of launching a 100-city tour, which we'll probably announce in like 2 months.
There's 100 cities in the world? I didn't even know.
I know, right? Yeah. Yeah, the definition of city is definitely loose. It might be 100 village tour.
Okay.
Like, it might, we're definitely
the 100 territory
driving
tour.
the needle. Yeah, exactly. 100-acre tour, it is. But yeah, I think that show, like, you were the heart of that show, and it's like that. All those experiences couldn't have been made without you.
Oh, well, thanks, man. I appreciate that kindly. That means a lot. Obviously, if you want to find us, guys, you can go to @Comedy in English on all social media. Shows are every Wednesday, these live streams that are going out, and then we will be editing, chopping everything back up, and then the official Comedy in English podcast will be released in January of 2026 for the first season, with guests from all over the world of international comedy. Casey, where can people follow you, keep up with your 100-city tour if they don't live in a rural village in Greenland?
Oh, yeah. It'd be at Casey B. Skinner, I think, on all social media. And then I will probably be taking out just crazy ads. You will want to not hear me by the end of the ad campaign. Consider this a warning, everybody.
And obviously, guys, you can find me at Michael Magid on all social medias. That's all the time on Comedy in English, and we're out. Later, guys.
Later, guys. Good to see you, guys.